Hello and welcome to City at a Glance. I'm Kelly DiMartino and I'm pleased to be here today to introduce to you two new chiefs in Fort Collins, our Fire Authority Chief and our Police Chief. As always, we're pleased to have joining us City Manager Darin Atterbury. Darin, thanks for being here.
Thanks, Kelly.
It's kind of a fun day that we can introduce two new people to the community. Tom DeMint, who is the new Chief of Poudre Fire Authority, although not new to the community, I guess.
No.
But welcome to the new job.
Thank you.
And also John Hutto, who is our new Fort Collins Police Chief. John, welcome.
Thanks, Kelly.
The purpose of today's program is really just to introduce the two of you to the community a little bit more and for us to really hear some of your experiences so far in these new jobs and some of your hopes and aspirations for the two agencies that you represent. Darin, would you like to kick us off with maybe just a little bit of background on how long these guys have been in their jobs and the process of getting them into these seats?
Yeah, well, I'm just wondering when we stop introducing you to the community. You've been introduced and actually, yeah, I'd be happy to, Kelly. We did national searches for John Hutto's, Chief Hutto's position. We went out across the country and we're looking for the best chief out there, and I think we got him. And the Poudre Fire Authority, same thing. We did a national search, and we were fortunate to get Tom and Chief DeMint is from within the Poudre Fire Authority, and I'm delighted as a board member that you're in the position you are as well. Both of these two individuals competed well. They had stiff competition, and I think this community is very, very well suited for the future for both in police and fire and the leadership that we have. And you guys have been great colleagues to work with as you've been in the positions. John, you're new to Fort Collins, and your transition into this community has been amazingly quick. It feels to me like you've been here for a long time, and that's a compliment. You've acclimated well to Fort Collins, and you'll get a chance to talk about hopefully some of your background. And Tom has obviously been in Fort Collins for a long time, but your I think what the board appreciated about you was your enthusiasm, your optimism, and your wanting to drive some change in Poudre Fire Authority. I'm delighted that you guys are in the positions you're in, and again, I think this community is going to be well served by the two of you. So, you know, as Kelly and I talked about this show, we just wanted to give you guys a chance to talk about what it's like being a new police chief and a new fire chief. What are some of the challenges that you're facing? What are you excited about? You know, what are some things on the horizon for the community as it relates to police and fire? So it's open-ended conversation.
Okay, great.
All right, that's good.
Go ahead, Tom.
So let's start with how long you've been in the jobs and maybe some of your first insights.
Well, I've been in the job as the chief. I started as the interim chief back in May of 2011. I've been with the Poudre Fire Authority. It's kind of ironic. I believe I started my interim role on May 5th, and I started as a firefighter on May 5th in 1988 for PFA. So it's kind of a pretty poignant anniversary date.
That's my birthday.
And plus it's Darin's
that
birthday.
explains it, Tom, right
That
there.
explains the planet alignment.
It's a special day.
Yeah.
It's Cinco de Mayo.
Before I came to PFA, I was Poudre Valley Hospital Ambulance Service. I came here in 1982 as a paramedic. I saw the Poudre Fire Authority, what John Mulligan had created, and I'd been around a lot of fire departments in the world of EMS and saw the Poudre Fire Authority as the leader at the time, excuse me, in fire protection services. All different areas of not just the firefighting, but the firefighting, the Fire Prevention Bureau, how engaged the firefighters were, and said, I want to be part of that, and became part of that. And that's my vision now, is to reinstill that and reinvigorate it with our young firefighters who want to feel that same thing, and to take our older firefighters that have that legacy and to bring that memory back and to instill that and to make this, you know, a world-class fire department, to be one of those fire departments that people say, we want to be like Poudre Fire Authority. And we have a lot of that. I tell our firefighters we're a very good fire department. But as Jim Collins would say, I want to take us from very good to great and make us world-class and be on that leading edge of innovation and let our people experiment and find things that we can do to improve fire protection services, emergency services in the community.
All right, great. And how about you, John?
Well, I relocated here from Austin, Texas. I was with the Austin Police Department for 26 years. I started there in 1985. coming from Austin, when my wife and I decided we wanted to relocate to another community, there were some special attributes of that community that we really looked for, and I wasn't going to just move to any place. It needed to be someplace that I knew we would be welcomed and comfortable, and would share some of the same values and some of the same goals and aspirations that I had professionally, and what we wanted to see as a family. Fort Collins fulfilled that, and Darin, you talked a little bit about how in some ways it feels like I've been here for a long time. Well, I think a lot of that is how comfortable that I felt from the moment I got here. It really is a welcoming community. It shares many of the same things that I value in life and in the community. It's a very involved community. They care about public safety. They care about the environment. They care about each other as neighbors, and it's a great community to be in. In terms of what I've found with the department that I've taken on, I'll echo a little bit of what Tom said. It's a very police services. Fort Collins Police Services is a very good department. Has an excellent reputation nationwide. The challenge is to, as Tom said, take it from good to great, and to make sure that the legacy that we've established as a department that's recognized by the community, supported by the community in a variety of ways, just make sure that we take that to the next level and continue to provide the services that this community expects and deserves.
So you mentioned that engagement, and again, I think both police and fire, there is a strong appreciation in the community. So as you think about that next level, kind of from the we're really good to great, and that community service piece, what does that look like? What are some of the things you're talking about in your organizations, your agencies, and Darin, maybe even your thoughts on that as well?
Yeah, I'm actually very excited for what the future holds. We've got a wonderful opportunity here. The community has shown their support by stepping up to keep Fort Collins great, and some of the other ways. But what that's allowed us to do is to put on a little additional staffing to create some programs that enable us to get out into the community more. And I'm every day I'm talking to my officers and meeting with members of the public and talking about how we want to become more engaged. I had a great tour yesterday at the Boys and Girls Club and met Kathy Wright at the Boys and Girls Club, and I am very excited about creating some sort of partnership with them, maybe get some police out there to play basketball or kickball with the kids, and it's just that sort of thing that being in a community that values that sort of thing, that's the size that we can be involved and get to know everybody. It's very exciting to me to be in a department where I'm going to be able to know everybody on a first name basis, coming from a much larger department. So.
And our move toward greatness is, and world class is, we've been there. We were one of the cutting edge fire departments in the world of strategic planning back in the late 1970s and early 1980s. It goes back that far, and to relate it to the word greatness and keeping Fort Collins great, go back to that time, we were planning to have a 2nd Battalion chief clear back in 1979, 1980. It was in our first master plan, and we struggled. With growth, the growth of the community, we had to respond and build stations so that we could respond to that growth. So we had good response times. We could get fire apparatus and firefighters on the scene quickly. We had the opportunity with keeping Fort Collins great the first implementation we did was to implement our South Battalion. And our South Battalion and our benchmarks, we already see it used to be that before we had the South Battalion in the southern area, we got a battalion chief who's the incident commander, who does the command and control of emergency incident, was getting on scene, our benchmark's 8 minutes, and they were getting on scene only 12% of the time in 8 minutes. And after the implementation of that, now we're doing it at 74% of the time.
So when you say benchmark, that's your target?
That's our target. Our target is for 8 minutes, and so that makes a huge jump. And now as we go through seeking even more levels of greatness, we're using benchmarks that we've used in the past, but we're also looking for new benchmarks, and we're going through an accreditation process through the Center for Public Service Excellence to help us get there and help us invent new performance measures and benchmarks that we can show the community just how good we're doing, and also look for areas to improve. One of the things I tell our firefighters is I want to know what we don't know. And that's what those performance measures are going to help us do.
Darin, thoughts about from kind of that community perspective, and again, as we were going through the process of hiring new chiefs, some of the things we heard from the community that were important to them?
Well, we definitely heard engagement is important. And I'm not sure if you know this, John, but before we went out for a contract with a hiring firm or a recruiting agency, I actually sent out a pretty mass distribution email asking for what people would like to see, what citizens of Fort Collins would like to see in their new police chief. And so that was sort of the beginning of engagement at the chief recruiting and hiring process. And frankly, that's what we heard. We heard we wanted a police chief who could balance the nuances between running a police department and being a community leader and being out there and being engaged with the community. And that's something that I think I know I'd stressed to you and to other candidates throughout the process that mattered to the community. So I think it'd be helpful for you to talk about some of the meetings that you have coming up, community meetings. I think that's
right.
A great idea.
Yeah, one of the things that it's actually an idea that I'm bringing from Austin, but to me it just seems perfectly tailored for our community here. Is I'm going to hold probably quarterly meetings in one in a different geographic area of the city every quarter, and the idea behind that is to basically bring the community in, to introduce the officers that work that area, to engage in a dialogue with the members of the community in a much more easygoing fashion than sometimes, unfortunately, that we get to do. And what I've told my officers is, if we're only meeting the public, through the open car window, or when we stop them on a traffic stop, or because we've been called to their house for an issue, then we've failed, because our job is much broader than that. Our job is to, we're one of the very few, if only, 24/7 operations in the city. 365 days a year, you can always talk to a police officer. And I recognize that, and I see our role as being the facilitators of the much bigger civic picture. I think it's our job to make sure not everything that comes to us is a police problem, but that doesn't mean that we shouldn't take some ownership of it and at least assist the members of the community in getting to where they need to be with that. And that's part of my vision for these community meetings. Is we'll have other folks in on the meeting, code enforcement, transportation, whoever seems to be appropriate for whatever issue may be in that neighborhood, and then we can redirect the members of the community and hopefully get some issues resolved.
And you plan to start those this summer?
Actually, we're starting before the summer. I believe we have one scheduled in April. I believe April 19th, but I'd have to double check the date.
What about from Poudre Fire Authority standpoint, and you as a chief? What do you have? Thoughts about getting out to the community and improving on some of those relationships?
I like Chief Hutto's idea. I mean, that's we might steal that.
Maybe do it together.
You could even partner.
Actually, we can partner together and do that together, and I think it's a great opportunity for us to get out. Darin was there this week. We had public comment at one of our board meetings, and it was new, and it was actually exciting, and I took a ton of notes, because that's how we get better. Is being engaged with the public and finding that. So looking for opportunities. Most of the opportunities that we're on a little bit different spectrum, and it's not that, when we show up, we're there. We're not the ones that have to show up.
Everybody's happy to see you.
Everybody's happy to see us, because we're not there. If they have to leave, they're going to go to the hospital. They're not going to go to some place they don't want to be. They're going to a place they're going to get better. So our relationship is a little different with the community, but we also are a significant factor in the community. We cost the citizens, they pay a lot of money for our services, so I think hearing what they have to say is important. We are engaged in our public education efforts, and through the downturn of the economy, sadly, in the fire service, one of the first things that gets set aside is public education, and we have to kind of rechange our focus in that. Just yesterday, we appointed a new division chief for community safety services, which will include that public education component, and Chief Bob Ponsel is going to be working to help redevelop a lot of our public education efforts, things we've done in the past and we want to encourage firefighters to do. Is we do a thing called Adopt a School, where firefighters will take the fire engine to a school, they'll pile off the fire engine, the kids get to go out and see it, but they'll go in and sit in the little tiny chairs and and have lunch with the kids, and they get to see that the firefighters are not so scary, and just interaction in addition to the tours we do and those things. So that's really where we spend a lot of our time in engagement, and firefighters love that because that's part of the people that gravitate to the job is they like to be the ones that, hey, good, the fire department's here. So I when he said that, I was like, man, I'd like to jump in on that because that's the way we. Yeah, and we also, speaking of community safety services, which includes the Fire Prevention Bureau, we end up in a lot of those situations too, where we come in and say, you have to have a sprinkler system in your building, and that's going to cost me X amount of dollars. So we get into that authoritative relationship with our customers at times. So I think it's a great opportunity to go out and take the specific divisions of our department related to the neighborhood.
Let's talk a little bit about you individually as leaders, right? So talk to the community about kind of what's most important to you. And Darin, I think it's great for you to chime in on this as well.
Well, first of all, I see a tremendous difference between leadership and management. To me, they are completely different things. They're interwoven and necessary. You can't be a good one or the other without the opposite side. But I think I may have said it before, and maybe in one of the forums when I was going through the hiring process. But I really do kind of see myself as a leader who manages by necessity. I think it's much more important to model the appropriate behavior, to demonstrate to not only the people inside my organization but the community as a whole what my values are, what I think the city's values are, what I see as the department's role in the community, and to model that through leadership. And I try and spend a good portion of every day, and I'm really not ducking phone calls or emails, but I spend a good portion of my day walking around my building and just visiting with all the different work groups and going in and talking with the folks in communications and going down to records and spending some time with them. Not as much time as I would like to, but I think that sort of thing is very important because it's a completely different thing to have a message and send it down from on high through email. And I think it's much more effective to visit one-on-one and get feedback and talk about, hey, this is the direction we're going with this, and this is the program I'm thinking about putting in place. Have you ever tried anything like that before? And just engaging the people that are going to have to do the work in a dialogue about what that work means to them and where they think it should go, and take their feedback and learn from it.
To kind of go along with what Chief Hutto said, my philosophy is very employee engaged, and we've always prided ourselves in having a good, strong employee voice, and we have several systems in place that I'm trying to emphasize even more. We have a thing we call the PFI, or the Plan for Improvement, where a firefighters have great ideas at the kitchen table. In fact, I would, since everybody here is a manager, if you ever have a problem, have trouble solving a problem, go and just sit at a firehouse table and there's answers there. If it's not the right answer, you'll get answers, I guarantee it. But to take that kitchen table out of the firehouse and bring it to the chief's office, I've created an open door policy, which, being a new chief, was kind of surprising to me at first. I said that the door's open, and I watch people walk by the door. Now that the job's become mine, it no longer has the interim title on it, people are coming through the door, and that's pretty exciting. And then that requires a lot of follow through on my part. The thing, my building is 238 square miles. It's the entire PFA. So what I'm in the process of doing right now is, as the new chief, is doing what I call chief chats. I have 2 of those tomorrow, where I meet with 2 or 3 fire companies at a time, and a company is 3 to 4 people on an engine or a fire truck, a ladder truck, and sit and we have a kitchen table conversation. I take with them my vision of where I'd like to see us go, or what I believe are the current issues, and we discuss those. I take their feedback. I've got a file that's about 2 inches thick so far, and we'll do it with all areas of the department. What I'd like to do is do that on a quarterly basis. That may be a bit of a lofty goal, because we have nearly 200 people, including our volunteers, to get to do that. But I think it's a great way to get the voice. Firefighters really want to make sure that they're heard. That's pretty much inherent in the business. The thing I bring to them is that I'm still the chief, and I'm going to help set the direction, and that's to most of them, that's very refreshing. They like to hear that. They like to hear that someone's going to lead them. And that's my goal, is to take them there.
So I do have a few thoughts about it, and I'll more speak to what I see in you guys and what I think this community has looked for, and what I've tried as I've gotten to be involved in the appointment process of both of you. Character and integrity matter. You guys have very high character and lots of integrity, and I think that that's a big reason why you're in the jobs, and I'm seeing that on a daily basis in both of you. How you communicate and how you lead in the community and within your, I call the plant, in your shop. That really matters. When you have the spirit of the community, not that the community expects, but the community deserves. So there's a difference, and that's the way in which I see you all three of you leading, that this community deserves it. I'm looking for you guys to help define what world class means from a policing and a fire standpoint. People ask me that all the time. And in fact, whether it's utilities or streets, or Darin, tell us what you think world class is. And I have my ideas, but I want you as the executive in charge of police services to help work with the community, work with your colleagues, and define what that means, and then go after it. It's that you deeply believe that under all circumstances we can get better. And so how do we do that? And how do we do that? And you're the way you lead that. You lead that. And then finally, when there's a disconnect, how do we hold people accountable for that? So if colleagues who aren't committed to that, then we need to make sure that every single position within our organizations are deeply committed to world-class and continuous improvement. And sometimes that means, we all have to help define that and help work through that. That's kind of how I see all three of you doing your jobs, and that's why I could not be happier with the three of you in these positions. And
so we have just a few minutes left. Let's hear a little bit about what you like to do for fun when you're not working and fearlessly leading our organization.
We go swimming together.
Yeah, we did.
You're going to have to give more detail than that.
No, recently there was a fundraiser for Special Olympics of Colorado. Excellent charity, wonderful cause. And I made the off-the-cuff remark that I might like to participate in their fundraiser, which was called the Polar Plunge, and basically it involved jumping into a frozen lake a couple of weeks ago, right? And Tom said, "That sounds like fun too. I'll go with you." And there's actually photographic evidence of us doing this, but it was actually a very good time. And I've already been talking around police services. We're gonna have a much bigger turnout next year. We're gonna have a bunch of folks go down there. So to answer your question, I like to be involved in the community. When I actually have some downtime and can get away, one of the things that drew me to Colorado was I've spent a lot of time up here. I like to backpack, like to motorcycle. So this is just it's perfect. It's tailor-made for me. I really look forward to. I moved here in November, so I haven't gotten to experience the wonderful summers here yet. Except just briefly on vacation over the years. So I'm really looking forward to that. I'm enjoying living where there are seasons, and I'm going to take full advantage of all four of them.
it does get a little warmer, Chief.
Yeah.
Gets a little warmer here.
Right.
Give us a few more weeks and it'll warm up.
You'll be very surprised. Just a couple of weeks, we'll start having those.
Of course, not like where you came from, but
Right.
It gets real warm there.
Right.
A pleasant warm. It's a pleasant warm. How about you?
Well, and I'll throw the plug in on the Polar Plunge too. When Chief Hutto put that out, it said, "Well, I accept that challenge." And Sheriff Smith went with us. And,
Yeah, Sheriff Smith did.
His
That's
staff
right.
and some of Chief Hutto's staff went.
And the fire authority really stepped up. I think you kicked us with fundraising. You did a better
Yeah,
job.
I'm very proud to say raised over $1,500 for the Special Olympics, and that's pretty dear to the police service, is my understanding.
Very
Special
much.
Olympics. So I guess the challenge is back to you is we're starting to go under our MDA fundraising.
Right. So they have to stand around with a boot on the corner?
No,
But not in
no.
the street, right?
Not in the street.
Okay.
It's a great community to be involved in, and there's always something to do here. And my wife and I, if it's to come downtown to concerts in Old Town or you know, the street fairs and that, just to be involved in the Old Town. And we also have a place at Crystal Lakes that in the summer it's a place to just go decompress over the weekend, to get back to the roots of firefighting, put a chainsaw in my hand and knock down some beetle-killed trees. Feels good. It's a good relaxation thing. I know Chief Hutto is going to probably find some opportunities like that to get up in the woods and to.
I'm not going to cut wood on your property if that's.
Trying to
what you're
get free
doing.
labor. That's what I'm hearing.
Let's try and, but that's really how we spend a lot of our time. And then the thing that's just come into our life in the last 9 months is we have a granddaughter that is phenomenal, and she's become a big part of our lives, and that becomes a big hobby. And it's fun to be grandparents because you know, the sleepless nights aren't so much. It's more those executive things that still lead on to the sleepless nights rather than the.
What sleepless nights?
Yeah.
rather
That's
than,
not fair. He brought up grandkids.
Yeah.
He just opened it up at the end of the show. That's not fair, Tom.
it's just kind of what I do.
He's a grandpa now. He has to brag a little bit, you know?
Well, I would throw that out there. I was asking, we had a community interview, and I was asking community interview, what would keep you here?
Yeah.
You know, what if someone comes to offer you more money? What would keep you in Fort Collins? I just pointed my granddaughter. It's right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
I'm
anchors
surprised
you.
your competitors didn't cry foul on that one.
One of them did, actually.
All right, well, we are wrapping up the end of our program. I so appreciate that you were willing to share with us both some of your professional leadership, just insights and your goals for your departments, and also a little bit of personal insight into kind of what makes you tick and grandkids and all that kind of fun stuff. So as we wrap up, any closing thoughts? John, we'll start with you.
Yeah, I'd just like to say I'm exceedingly excited about the opportunities to come and for you know, for what the rest of my life in this community holds. I tend to be here for a very long time, and it's exceeded my expectations. I was very careful when I made the decision to try for this community, and it has far exceeded even what I hoped would be to come. So I'm excited for the future. Great things to come for Fort Collins Police Services. Great things to come for the community, and looking forward to a long partnership with Tom.
All right. Thanks for being here today. Tom?
And having been here at the Poudre Fire Authority for 24 years, and in my introductory comments, that how much of a destination department, we like to use that term, we're a destination department. I think we're a destination city for many people. And just be the chief of that destination department and the chief of a department that has been lauded around the country, around North America even, and to be able to take that department to new endeavors and new heights is very, very exciting. Coming into this role with both of us being new and being appointed within just a couple of months of each other, it gives us great opportunities to partner, and we've been talking about some things even at operational levels we can do to partner, and I really like that opportunity. Chief Hutto is great to work with. I look for a long relationship both with the city, with Darin as the Poudre Fire Authority, as you know, as our government entity exists, but to partner with Chief Hutto, partner with Darin in the city. It's just great opportunities, and I plan to grow old here, to retire here, and take this department to places it's never been. That's my ambition.
All right. Well, thank you. Thanks for being here. Darin, closing comments?
Yeah, I mean, I've already shared what's on my mind. I'm looking forward to working with you guys and watching you just lead these critical departments in our community. So one final time, welcome to Fort Collins. And for people who are watching that want to learn more about Poudre Fire Authority or Fort Collins Police Services, there's lots of different ways to access information, and I don't think either of these guys would be I think they would encourage any input that people have who are watching directly to them via email or pick up the phone. I think they're both very accessible guys, and would encourage that. So I'm glad you guys are here.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And with that, we'll conclude this edition of City at a Glance. Thanks for watching.